2010 is here, but before we greet the new year, let's take a fond look back at 2009. Welcome to a special edition of It's a Woman's World, a show which looks at any and all topics under the sun from a woman's point of view, featuring Ali Naithani, Eileen Moore, and Janine Stiles. On today's episode, highlights of 2009. As happens in life generally, some of the most charming moments on the show took place with our youngest guests. In our first highlight, Gus, Ocean, and Ezra sang along with our set photographer, Allison Kushnia.
Okay, kids, now we're going to sing a Halloween song. Who's ready to sing a Halloween song? Awesome. Okay, but I need some help. What is something that has to do with Halloween?
A ghost.
A ghost? Okay, let's start with a ghost. And we're going to count the ghosts. Ready? 1 little, 2 little, 3 little ghosts, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little ghosts, 7 little, 8 little, 9 little ghosts. Happy Halloween. Okay, I need a little more help on this next one, okay? Witches? Okay, can you help me sing? 1 little, 2 little, 3 little witches, 4 little, 5 little, 6 little witches, 7 little, 8 little, 9 little witches. Happy Halloween. Okay, can you guys say Happy Halloween as loud as you can?
Happy Halloween!
Yay!
Next up, 3-year-old Tia has a remarkable story as told by her auntie Ali.
I'd like to welcome Tia to the show. Hi, Tia.
Hi.
How you doing? Well, Tia, I think, is just an extraordinary little girl, and I wanted to talk about a situation that occurred and kind of how she handled it. And of course, our show is, as you said, we talk about women and girls, and I just thought this was an amazing situation. She was approached by someone who asked her about the color of her skin, and more in a negative light than a positive light. And she answered back to that person and said, "I'm just like Barack Obama, the president in the United States. We have the same skin color." And what struck me about that comment was that at such a young age, she had the courage and just had such a positive response to something that I think made the other person feel good and probably made her feel good too. And also, you know, just Barack's influence that he's having, you know, and here's Tia, our little 3-year-old here who picked up on that too. So pretty amazing stuff.
It is amazing. I think it's wonderful. I think that, and what a show of presence of mind and confidence in a little child. That's just wonderful. It's wonderful.
Add 5 birthdays and our 3-year-olds become 8. Here are 2 of the most promising 8-year-olds the whole world over.
And so when you say space, so you're interested in kind of science. What do you want to be when you grow up?
Astronaut.
An astronaut. That's wonderful. And so what excites you about being an astronaut?
Going in a rocket and seeing the stars and moon. Because we just see the moon from here.
Right.
And we can't see the big moon as well.
And you want to actually be there and being launched off into space.
Yes.
I remember asking you about that a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And you were just so excited. You said you're ready to go.
Right now.
Right now. That's great.
Yes.
And from St. Paul, Minnesota, Egypt, and her grandmother, Candy Pettiford.
Wow. Well, so you brought a little special someone along with you.
Yes.
Would you like to introduce her?
Oh, I'd love to. Egypt, can you come? Yeah. Yes, she is granddaughter number 5.
Oh.
Yes, I should say grandchild. I shouldn't say granddaughter because we have an older grandson. But granddaughter.
Oh, Egypt.
Yes.
Welcome to
You're
the show.
welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
It
So
runs
she's
in the
learned.
family.
She's engulfed in singing.
How much time have we got? Could they sing a couple lines of anything?
Yeah, do you guys have a little something you
Oh,
want to
I-
sing? To put you on the spot.
Yeah, no problem. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child, a long, long way from home. You sing something. You got something real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong. They are weak, but he is strong.
I got you all.
She did it with a lost voice and put on the spot. That was amazing.
As teenagers, young women love to dance, and as we shall see, hold sophisticated discussions on cable television shows. Here is the Bollywood Sisterhood in performance in our studio. Cynthia from the Bollywood Sisterhood, along with two other members of her age cohort, seized the microphone one day in an episode we called Three Terrific Teens.
So let's change topics here a little bit. How do you guys feel about balancing everything in your life? You know, school, homework, activities, your social life. Do you guys feel like it's gotten harder as we've gotten older?
I think that it's important to plan it, but it's also really important that you are communicating it with the adults in your life. Like, they always want to know where you are, and it kind of gets more difficult then because you're expected to plan it, but also expected to be very clear about what your plan is.
Yeah, and I think one of the hardest things is dealing with all the homework we get. I mean, I feel as we've gotten older, especially in high school, the workload just increases and increases and increases to the point where it's really difficult to maintain your social life and your family life and everything in your life when you have to have all this pressure coming from your teachers and such. Do you guys feel that too?
Yeah, I think that's where the balancing comes in. You have to be able to learn, like, to know when is your time that you need to study. Like, when can you have time to hang out with your friends? When can you have time to, like, go hang out with your little brothers or sisters, you know?
Yeah.
You have to plan it out. I think you have to.
It's all about managing your time if
Yeah.
you want to accomplish everything. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah. And I also think that you have to kind of somehow stretch your time, like, not actually stretch it, but sort of maybe try and do some things faster, because you get pressure from even more people as you get older. Your teachers pressure you more and your parents do, but also if you're into sports or if you sing or act, your coaches will pressure you more and want you to practice that more too. So.
And I think also pressure comes from relationships. How have you guys felt about relationships in school, like with your friends or with the opposite sex? Do you guys feel it's difficult to maintain relationships with everything going on?
I don't think it's difficult to maintain a relationship with your friends, because, especially in school, because you get to see them all the time. So it's like they're in your class.
Yeah.
And so it's like when they're your friend, they're always going to be your friend.
Remarkable teens become remarkable adults, such as emerging artist Javelin Elliott, who we feel sure will become the 21st century's answer to Georgia O'Keeffe.
So what inspires your art?
Art is sort of how I think about the world and how I think about what I see, and it's part imagination and it's part like me, sort of the beginning stages of trying to make sense of all this, this stuff, all these images that stick in your head, and all these feelings that you get from thinking about things or looking at things. And right now, I don't think I've really started making sense of it all, but eventually I want to start making sense of all the things that stick in your head.
Another favorite of ours from the world of creative arts was Ellen Stanley. Ellen tours the country singing and playing music as Mother Banjo, and also hosts a weekly radio show on KFAI-FM, where this time Janine and Ali were the guests.
Today on Women Folk, we also have some other special guests in the studio. This is why I'm feeling so much love. And I want to welcome Janine and Ann. Hi, guys.
Hi,
gals.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. We're excited to be on the show. Thanks for having us.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. This is really exciting. Janine and Ann are two of the hosts of a television show called It's a Woman's World, and a really great show focusing on different women in the community and women's issues. And it airs on the Metro Cable Network on Channel 6. And they're here to talk about sort of locally based community media of all kinds, and there's a lot of great stuff happening here in the Twin Cities, including on television and media I'm less familiar with, but you guys are also help spreading the word and making sure women's voices are out there. So thanks so much for coming on the show. It's really great to have you.
You bet. Thanks, Ellen.
And so tell us a little bit about your show and how you came to do it.
Well, our show is focused locally here in Minneapolis and St. Paul, but it's really applicable metro-wide. I think that's our viewership. It only goes through the metro area. And it's all about women's issues. Everything from mundane to sassy to serious to important and anything in between. The show actually started out of some work Ann and I used to do together around senior citizen issues, because we both worked that way. And then it became an intergenerational show, so we had all different ages represented, and then we kind of spun it a little bit more to really focus just on women's issues, and we still have the intergenerational play there. It's a little bit less pronounced, but given that we have different women's ages represented on the show, it just seems to work out nicely that way.
It really does. And we're missing our third host, who is Eileen Moore. A little shout out to Eileen. Hi, Eileen. But we're really trying to give that generational focus, as Janine said, and covering issues from postpartum depression to women and raising sons, cooking. We've done just a whole gamut of things, I think.
Wonderful. Yeah. That's great.
Back in our own studio, we spoke with someone with a very important message to communicate. In this segment, Dr. Ellen Kennedy of the Center for Holocaust and Genocide Studies hands Ali, and by extension all the rest of us, a tool we can use to help combat genocide.
I want to encourage your listeners to do what they can do. Okay. We know that the most effective way that people can bring these kinds of activities to a halt is for people to contact their legislators.
Right.
Former President Bill Clinton said that he did nothing to end the genocide in Rwanda, not because he was not a man with a heart, but because he didn't hear from a single one of the 100 senators or one of the 435 representatives urging him to take action. He didn't hear from them because they didn't hear from us.
You have a resource for them.
I do.
Great.
When you see an accident on the highway, you pull out your cell phone and you call 911.
I've done it many times.
And it costs you nothing.
Right.
It's a toll-free call. There is now a hotline, we call it an anti-genocide hotline, to reach your elected officials. The number is 1-800-GENOCIDE.
That's
And
it. Just
it's that
1-800
simple.
genocide. Okay.
And in numbers, it's actually 800-436-6243.
Okay.
And when you call that number, you will hear very simple steps that you can take.
Hello, this is Mia Farrow. Thank you for calling the hotline to prevent and stop genocide. In a moment, you will be able to choose which elected official you would like to call.
For your viewers, they need to know that Ali is contacting Representative Betty McCollum's office.
Calling the office of Congresswoman Betty McCollum, representing Minnesota's 4th Congressional District.
Hi, this is Ali Naithani. I'm calling from our show, It's a Woman's World, and we are raising awareness today about the gender-based violence in Darfur. We just want to thank you for all your hard work, and we certainly encourage you to continue the efforts that have been made so we can resolve all the issues and problems that are going on in Darfur. Thank you.
Great.
That was wonderful.
Well, that was really easy.
That was very easy. So you had to
Yes.
follow a few prompts and answer some questions on it, but it wasn't too hard. You entered your zip code and selected whether you wanted to talk to your representative, senator, or the White House. That's great.
Exactly. Each and every one of us is responsible. It is our problem. And we all can stand up. We all have a
Absolutely.
responsibility.
Another key communicator we spoke with was Kathy Magnuson, editor of the Minnesota Press, who came to our studio and also gave us a tour of her offices.
So tell us about the Women's Press and starting it so many years ago.
Well, we started in the early 80s, and the part of the concept behind it was every woman has a story, and we still find that's true. Some of the stories we do are about women you might see on TV, shows like this, or see in the daily newspapers, magazines, and many of them, most of them in fact, are women you might not have heard of except for the Minnesota Women's Press. We think every woman has a story, and it's not just the ones who are high profile or in the news in some way.
Right.
How do you find all the women to tell their stories?
You know, that is not a problem. We have limited eyes and ears in our office. We can't know everything that's going on, but we are inundated with wonderful story ideas that come in from the public on press releases and mostly from our readers who in their everyday lives know amazing women who are doing interesting things or things that other people need to know about. So our problem is not finding interesting women to write about.
Oh, that's great.
A fun moment happened when Eileen Moore, who had been a librarian for the city of St. Paul, discovered that the Minnesota Women's Press had a library she didn't even know existed.
Were moving and they donated their books, and they were downsizing and they donated their books. They wanted to know they were going to have a good home.
Oh, do you still take donations?
You know, we don't because we don't have any more
you know,
room.
I was going to say,
we ran out of space.
where would you put them? Right, right.
But a number of them are out of print, books that you can't get elsewhere.
Sure, how wonderful. How wonderful. Oh my gosh.
So it's the autobiography, biography, and then nonfiction is categorical, going around, and the fiction is on this side. But they're all books by women authors, and so some of our book groups, our larger book groups, meet down here, and they just like being in the room surrounded by all these women's words.
Oh yeah. Oh, how wonderful. Oh, wow.
Another of our favorites was Sergeant Ann Bebo of the St. Paul Police Department, who described an incident that occurred very early in her tenure.
So have you ever been shot at?
No. I've had guns pointed at me before. I was brand new on the street in Minneapolis. One of the first calls I was in, I had turned a corner and I was brand new. Brand new. And one of the things they tell you in Minneapolis is they say, the attitude is very important. They tell you, I want you to right away know that you're a police officer and not think that you're a recruit, because if my life is on the line, I want you to step up and be a full-fledged officer. I can't have any recruit backing me up. And so we were downtown, and we turned the corner, and there was a man there with a rifle with a scope on it who had another man at gunpoint, and he was about to kill him. And so I had to get out of my squad car with my shotgun, and it was me and him in a standoff, and I was just starting to pull the trigger, and I was ordering him to drop the weapon, and he dropped it. So we were able to take him into custody. But, you know, right off the bat, it starts immediately. You don't get much of a training-in period, really, when you're a police officer. The minute you hit that street, you're counted on to be in any possible situation that could happen.
And your training clicks right in, and you do what you have to do? Is that how it worked?
Hopefully,
You
yeah.
knew right what to do.
That's how it worked for you?
It does, yeah.
Good.
And that's the way it should be. And if a
Yeah.
recruit does, it doesn't work that way. They tend to not make it through probation.
Right.
That's what I was wondering in that moment. You know, you can think about that moment, but when you're actually in that moment, do you in that situation, did you feel calm and collected, or?
This is what I can tell you about it. There's like your nervous system is comprised of a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight. And unless you're mentally prepared, the parasympathetic nervous system is going to take over and shut you down. So, you know, you mentally train, you go through rigorous physical training, and you're preparing all the time. You're constantly thinking about being in situations or looking at what if this happened. And these are very important things to be doing, is role-playing these in your mind before anything ever happens. And in that situation, I can tell you my mind was very focused, and I knew exactly what I had to do, and I was very intent on what was going to have to happen next. But for some reason, everything from the top of me was very calm and steady and focused and ready to go, and I couldn't stop my legs.
They were shaking. They were shaking.
Yes, in fact, my FTO. You know, and I was like 21 years old. I was just a baby, and I think about one of my daughters having to be put in that situation, and I think that's a very young person to be having to be in a life or death situation.
Right.
But my FTO said to the man, you better drop the gun, because she's a new recruit and she's got a very itchy trigger finger.
Now, no true highlight show would be complete without a few bloopers, outtakes, and pranks. This first one is the introduction to the show you just saw with Sergeant Bebo.
Remember the days of Charlie's Angels and Cagney and Lacey and all those other great police shows with female cops? Well, today on It's a Woman's World, we have the real deal.
Sergeant Ann Babo from the St. Paul Police Department is our guest.
And join us as we meet an amazing 3-year-old named Tia.
So grab your cup of coffee and come on back and join us for It's a Woman's World.
Next up, the blooper. And now for $1 million cash. Ask if I remember the days of a famous television show starring Farrah Fawcett Majors.
Remember the days of... What are we doing?
Time's up. The answer was Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels! I couldn't remember Charlie! Okay, all right, one more time. Okay.
This next outtake we call How Many Layers in a 7-Layer Salad?
Well, we're back again in Elise kitchen. What are we making today?
We're going to make a taco 7-layer salad. Sorry.
Take 3.
Because I don't know if I have 7. 1, 2, 3,
I did.
4,
Count it.
5, 6.
Salsa?
7.
I count 7.
There's 7.
You count the salsa.
There's 7.
Okay. We're good.
Okay.
You just can't count.
I can't.
Now, what's that old saying? There's many a bobble twixt the fork and the gobble?
Pretty simple, huh?
Should I use this little spatula thing to get all the butter?
Yeah, it is.
Oh! Sorry.
I'll rinse it off. Should I rinse it?
Can we cut that?
Oh no! The milk spilled and all over the floor! No! Oh!
Sorry!
Time now for another episode of Pranked. The props include a few roaches, a few flies, and that shoe fly pie Chef Nathani worked so long and hard to bake. And then on the shoe fly pie, apparently the molasses...
Choose the fly away?
Well, no, it does quite the opposite. When you mix it with sugar and then it liquefies, And if you put a pie here and an apple pie there, more flies, we think, go to the shoe fly pie.
Wait, that one's upside down.
What is that?
Shoo! And a few cockroaches.
You're sitting here and eating it now. Get him on TV with us.
Now, where do you suppose he found those? Where would you find cockroaches and flies? Oh my God!
I guess when we asked you to remake it, we should have specified no bugs.
Yeah.
It's too tempting.
What kind of a kitchen do you keep anyway?
Hey, I did it for TV, for good TV, okay?
We should also mention our freeze frame photograph of the year, which will be shown on our website, www.womensworldtv.net, throughout 2010. It's coming up right here.
Thank you for joining us for It's a Woman's World.